David with EV World News. We're talking about electric vehicles, green energy, and the stock markets. And I'm back today on a Wednesday with our resident engineer, Mike Herzog. How's it going today, Mike?
Great. It's Wednesday. Happy to be back as always. Like clockwork, we're here.
Yeah, or like that weed you can't get to go away. All right. Anyways, for that rash you can't get to go away. Yeah. I had somebody at the gym this morning randomly wanting to ask if I'd ever heard of Lucid, and wanted to talk about electric cars. And he doesn't know that I do this show. I said, you should really get on evworld.com. You can find lots of great information on there. You might even see some familiar people.
That's funny. If you've never heard of it, turns out I have heard one or two things about
Lucid.
Yeah. It's ringing a bell somewhere.
But it was completely random. It was like one of the personal trainers or something, sees me in the gym all the time. And it's like, it was the most random conversation. It's like, what are the names of the models that Lucid has? Well, there's the Air and the Gravity. It's like, I don't know if that was it. It's like, well, they don't have any others.
That's it. Those are the models.
Yeah. No. Anyways, I just thought that was really funny. It's like, yeah, you should look at evworld.com and you might even see people on there. You just never know. It's just, it was just kind of, super random. Anyways, today's first story. This is kind of interesting. So we talk about how sometimes that hybrids and plug-in hybrids can be your baby step to going to EVs. Mm-hmm. Well, in China, sales of extended range EVs, or which they call ER EVs, would be kind of like that BMW i3, right? That has the 80-mile gas thing. And plug-in hybrids are falling. Sales are falling as battery EVs surge. Improved ranges of over 500 kilometers, rapid charge tech like BYD's 5-minute charging system, and 13 million charging stations have reduced hybrids' appeal. October sales of extended range and plug-in hybrids dropped 10% year over year to still 469,000 units in China. It's still a big number. I mean that's still
sense, though. If
over 5 million a year, right?
Everything's going to EVs. Traditional EVs, fully plug-in EVs, that those are going to flip. Those graphs are going to change out, and you're going to start to see decrease in one and increase in the other. But
October battery electric vehicles rose 20% to 812,000. So that's a run rate of 10 million annually. That's just China.
That's just China. That's
wild. Just China. Yeah. It's nuts to kind of see that. And I thought it was worth discussing that because it's such a big change. But China is a few years ahead of us in everything related to automotive, right? Mm-hmm. And, everything from the tech in the cars to the ridiculously low prices. You do have to wonder if we did have new, the BYD Dolphin, if it was sold over here at the $10,000 price, you just got to wonder. It's like, how many would it sell? Would it sell 1 million vehicles here in the U.S.?
It's a great thought experiment. And what would actually happen? I think part of it, we have just the age when I grew up, and a lot of people, there's such a bias towards made in China. And it was just so synonymous with crap and a poorly made product, but a cheap product and going forward. And what does that look like? And how does that translate to a vehicle? But I think once you see that price tag, that's going to go out the window. That's anytime I talk to people about it, BYD, especially in a foreign audience, like, oh, do you have BYD there? It's like, nope. There's only one reason we don't have BYD. It's because I think it would become the fastest selling car really quickly. At $10,000 or $12,000 a pop.
Yeah. Hey, folks, if any of you are reading our stock ticker, it's somehow magnifying the percentages by an extra 2 zeros or something. We're getting Microsoft's down $6. It's down minus 262%. Yeah, so we know that's not the case.
Don't panic.
This is one of the funny things because I know AI is used to create that, And so AI hallucinated today. And this is one of the big things. Folks, if you use AI, check the math. I mean, now I'm really good at math. Mike's an engineer, so I know he's really good at math too. Okay.
Mhm.
I can, I can just real quick eyeball a spreadsheet a lot of times. And if there's a massive mistake, I'll at least just see it from eyeballing it because I know what the calculations should kind of come out.
Should be about right. Yeah.
I'm only looking at a spreadsheet if it's in my realm of knowledge, right? And I've had this. There we go.
There it goes.
Looking like realistic percentages. Yeah. But I'm just saying that you have to tell AI to go back and check the math. So if you're working with spreadsheets, feeding data into a spreadsheet using AI, always as part of your commitment, tell it to double check its math because it will, and double check it up and down, left and right, because it will. Otherwise,
isn't that? I find that fascinating. And with the hallucinating thing, it's on its own just really like, where'd you come up with that kind of thing? But some of the simple stuff, like you would expect math, like it is computer based. These are like a percentage, that's a relatively straightforward calculation you should put in there. But it's just those little things every once in a while that pop up. And to your point on, there's so many people. That's the problem with AI, copy and paste. Yep, they told me this is what the answer is. And
yeah, it's just the change divided by the current price
by the first one
is your change, and yet it was off by a factor of 100.
But it's always looking. I've seen people. Sometimes it's AI because you say like, did you even look at it? Like, does that even make sense? What
I really like ASPI. That's to me that's a solid entry point on ASPI. ASPI is a South African recycler of nuclear fuel. So they're taking all the spent nuclear fuel from places in Europe, and it's being shipped down to South Africa, and they're traded on the New York Stock Exchange. And anyways, I was introduced to them by a pension fund manager who's heavily into that one. And I've been watching because it seems to go from 9 to almost 12. And right now it's below 9. It's 8 something. That would definitely be a good time to really look at that because it's the very last one on the list. But anyways, folks, so I'm just catching this though on the Chinese trends, but we see these Chinese trends and we know these are eventually going to come to America. And as much as people want to say, EVs or whatever they want to say they are, we know it's coming, right? And it's just a matter of things. It's just staggering to think they have 13 million charging points.
I would love the opportunity to go to one of those cities and just see, where is there a charger, every corner, multiple chargers, per block, every parking meter has a charger, and how many just raw vehicles are out on the road, number of EV. I mean, is it just staggering? Like, holy cats, look at all of those EVs. Is it really quiet?
Well, my friend in Guangzhou was telling me they have over 1 million charge points just in the Guangzhou.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that's staggering because the whole United States has about 250,000. And when I say charge points, these are public ones where you can go and you can pay somebody to get juice. Okay. And they have 50 times what the US has for charging stations. I mean, they even have 3,000 battery swap locations.
Yeah.
And we have zero.
Yeah.
We have zero. And I think, you've heard me say, I think battery swap is the future for trucking. And they only have a couple stations for that in China. But to me, that's what I think.
Just the idea they actually have those in practice. Like they're doing it. It's out there and people are actually going through the motions and figuring out what works and what doesn't work with it.
So been doing this show for over 2 years. And when I first started doing this, I was really interested in Mullen Automotive. Okay. But as the more I looked at Mullen Automotive, the more depressing it got. Okay. And their situation just keeps getting worse and worse. Now they've renamed themselves like not Bollinger Motors. So they acquired Bollinger Motors at one point, and they're calling it something slightly different now, but it still has Bollinger in the name. And they were supposed to be they got some money from the state of Michigan to help create one of their trucks. It's created no new jobs. Well, now what's coming out is Bollinger isn't paying employees or suppliers, according to a complaint. Yeah. So it looks like we may be at end of life for all former remnants of Mullen. I mean,
Mullen was a guy, right? That's the last name.
No, I don't know where that name came from, because the CEO's name is David Michery. And when he posts something on LinkedIn, oh my God, just the negativity that's posted on his stuff is just so bad, and everybody calling him a scammer and all this other. And I think he managed to sell some stock and personally profit. And the investors, the stock went down 99%. Okay. So there's nothing like putting 100,000 in, it ended up with 1,000 or less. They may be down to like lunch money at this point. Okay. But they've had all kinds of cool things they've done. And but once again, like a lot of EV companies, like, we're going to have a big truck, we're going to have a van, we're going to have a sports car, we're going to have an SUV. And they were trying to do a little bit of everything. Mm-hmm. But they bought the Nikola. That company went bankrupt, so they bought up their battery division. They bought up where General Motors used to make the gas-powered Hummers.
Yeah,
they bought up. They bought that facility. Yeah, and they had some other things. It seemed like, in terms of assets, so when they go bankrupt, there ought to still be some pretty valuable assets to sell. There. Maybe somebody will get some money. I don't know. But it may all go to suppliers. But
apparently they're deadbeats these days, not paying their bills.
So in 23, Bollinger promised to invest $44 million and create 237 jobs in the Detroit area. But now it's in default on its agreement with the Michigan Economic Development Corp. It was awarded $3 million by the state to help launch its Class 4 EV, and thus far has collected about a third of that cash with very little to show for it. Bollinger has sort of blown up on the launch pad. They had an original owner who sold. So Bollinger Motors was put into receivership in June when the original founder, Robert Bollinger, sued the company to recoup a loan and alleged the company was broke. David Michery, who was a CEO of Mullen, acquired a controlling stake in Bollinger in 22, paid the founder back, and promised to do the same for suppliers. But after emerging from receivership, Michery merged Bollinger Motors with Mullen to create Bollinger Innovations and consolidated operations to Metro Detroit. And he vowed in an interview in June that Bollinger Motors was here to stay. But earlier this year, 6 suppliers sued, looking for $5 million in outstanding bills. They've been paid back, but now there are 6 different suppliers suing the company in active cases. Yeah.
How many commercial sales did Mullen actually have? Is it 0, or is it just like painful?
So they've been making like a Class 3 truck down in Tunica, Mississippi. Okay. And I know, because I follow other press releases, I know they at least delivered like 30 or 40 of those to various dealerships. And it might have been a whole lot more. I remember they had some deal where they were going to be shipping vans to Dubai or something like that.
Okay. And they actually got off the ground at some point and were delivering vehicles.
Yeah, and it seems like they've had promising news from time to time, but let me see. As of the middle of this year, Bollinger incurred a $304 million net loss. This is according to Cranes. Its accumulated deficit was $2.6 billion. I don't know. It's just really hard to fathom that one's going to work out, and it's really kind of a shame. They're another company that, I've said before, you should see a lot of consolidation in the space, right? Mm-hmm. And I really hope that company out of Oklahoma that I've already forgotten their name. We used to cover them a lot. Would get acquired by somebody like GM or Ford or somebody like that. Because they had some good ideas, and it's like the thing I said about GM before. I think if they revived the Saturn brand, which had, the Ion and the Aura and stuff like that. Those would be cool names for EVs, right? Yeah. And the model for how they were selling cars was similar to what you, a little bit more similar to how EVs are sold in the traditional model, where it was just a set price, right? You couldn't go in and haggle. There wasn't any, that part of it was gone. And I mean, Saturn closed up during a downturn in the economy, so, I don't know. It seems hard for the traditional automakers to really go into
it's one of those going back to China. I mean, we're seeing that over there. I mean, I think a year or two they were at a couple hundred car brands, and they're down to a hair over 100 at this point, and we're going to keep seeing additional consolidation. So
absolutely
going back into we're going to follow those trends in that space. I think we're going to hopefully start to see some of that consolidation and acquisition to get it out there, so it's not the Wild West. Because I agree with you. People have done cool things. I mean, there's innovations. There's a lot of neat looking vehicles. I mean, there's just a good looking car and what they want to put into it, but it's getting it actually out on the road in bulk is so tough in any of these things. It's just a huge hill to climb to actually produce.
So, I looked at the prototypes that Mullen came out. Their SUV prototype looked like a Porsche Macan. Okay. And I mean, it was sharp looking.
Just a nice looking car. Yeah.
And the ones they did, they blacked it out where it had the black rims and all that, and it looked awesome, And they had a nice looking sports car and all that. And it's like, but you gotta make something, right? And it's just really hard to try to be launching multiple models at one time. You look at Tesla. What they started with the Model S.
Back at Tesla, what they did, that's pretty impressive. Good strategy. Let's do one really well.
Yeah, they did one really well, and then they did the Model 3 really well, and then the Y, and well, I guess they had the X in there before.
The X was in there too.
Yeah, and both of those, did pretty well.
But they're not fundamentally different cars. They're cars. They're all cars. There's no SUVs. There's no trucking. There's to start off, it was just let's figure out what we're doing. And
Tesla though never became really rock solid until the Model 3 was released, though, because the Model S just didn't sell enough. The Model X didn't sell enough. When they hit the 3, all of a sudden they're selling a million of those a year, and that changed. Now this is kind of interesting because if you remember, and we're going to mention Jigger Shaw on here again today. He said when he came on the show a while back that if you really want to make it in the car business, you have to sell 400,000 or more cars a year. This is one of the problems he sees with a lot of these EV startups is how are they ever going to sell 400,000 cars a year? Tesla figured it out.
No brand recognition, no any supply chain challenges. Yeah, that's a lot of vehicles to move.
Yeah, it really is. So Tesla Model Y dominates global EV sales. Now, 2 years ago and the year before that, we were looking at Tesla Model Y dominated all car sales. So the Model Y was the dominant
best-selling car in the world.
Yes, it's but it no longer is. It no longer is. But it is the unchallenged position. They holds 8.3% of all global electric vehicle sales for the first 9 months of 2025. So, despite what everybody might want to say about Tesla or whatever, guess what the number 2 car is?
Is it Tesla Model X?
The 3.
3. Okay.
Yeah, it's the Tesla Model 3. Yeah. So they have the top 2 positions in the world for individual car models. Now, despite competition for Chinese manufacturers, American EVs still lead worldwide sales. Now, most of those Teslas are made in China.
Are sold in China and
made in China and sold in China. Yeah, so it may be an American manufacturer, but it's kind of like how we talked about Buick before. Buick has 4 models of EVs that sell well. They all sell in China.
They're all in China. You can't even get one here.
Yeah, you can't
get all in China.
It'd be really funny to see Mary Barra driving one, wouldn't it? Or something. They had them around the GM
just in the US there.
Yeah. But I thought that was kind of fascinating because we see all these things like negative on Tesla, but it's kind of Stellantis just signed up to get access to the Tesla Supercharging network.
Good.
So another chain. We already had Ford and GM have done it. Yeah. So it's gonna. I don't know that it's going to give them a monopoly, but I think you're going to have everybody's going to be able to access NACS and CCS. So I don't know if one will go away. I just have a hard time seeing all of Tesla's competition going away, and they're all CCS, right?
Yeah.
So that would makes it a challenge. Um, and that's not just North America, that also is for Japan and South Korea. And but that's a major expansion of the NACS adoption beyond Ford and GM.
Mhm.
Now, there's a lot of your European companies are on there, like Mercedes and well, you've got like Hyundai, Kia, those companies. There's a lot of companies that are on the or can connect to NACS now. All right, so Tesla. Here's some negative news about Tesla. The Cybercab faces some legal roadblocks. So Musk is claiming the Cybercab with no steering wheel and no pedals is going to enter production in April of 26. Federal safety regulations currently prohibit selling vehicles without traditional controls. Legal and regulatory hurdles could delay Musk's aggressive timeline significantly. I think that's a big one to cross.
Well, I mean, just what do you say? Hey, we define a car as having a steering wheel.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's not a vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that seems like a pretty big deal.
No steering wheel and no pedals.
And no pedals. Yeah.
Yeah, that seems really hard to fathom that could be the case. You would think it would release with something, right?
With something, an emergency, whatever that might be. I mean, it's Tesla. Maybe it's not traditional what they do, but you have to have some type of control in that, right?
You think so? Well, we were talking yesterday that Tesla has announced a whole bunch of new cities that robotaxi is going to start being accessible in. So I thought that was kind of interesting. They plan to rapidly expand that. I mean, Waymo is as well, right? And there's another one. Amazon has one. It's called like Zeus or something like that.
Heard of that one.
Yeah, and I think they're doing that one in San Francisco, and they're giving free rides.
Free rides to start with.
Yeah, they're not authorized yet to charge for rides. They're gonna let people take rides for free. Yeah. All right. So Xiaomi is a Chinese cell phone manufacturer that started making some EVs, and that was the one where Jim Farley brought one back.
And took it apart.
Well, I don't know if he took it apart, but he was driving it around for a few months.
No, was he driving it apart?
He really liked it.
Driving it around because they just had something come out where they took a whole bunch of them apart, and it was another one of his shock statements of like, I had no idea we were this far behind, kind of thing.
Yeah, and so here's the real shocker. So it took Tesla 5 years. Well, let's just say. It took Tesla almost 7 years to achieve profitability. Xiaomi's done it in 19 months. Okay, so this is the strength of Chinese manufacturing. So Xiaomi's EV division reached profitability in just 19 months, 5 years faster than Tesla. Leveraged massive consumer electronics ecosystem and brand recognition. I mean, basically, it's a cell phone that's turned into a car. Yeah, demonstrates Chinese manufacturers' rapid scaling capabilities in the EV market. I mean, that's unreal. We keep hearing about how we can't make money on EVs here in the US. GM can't, Ford can't. Yeah.
They turned profit in under 2 years. Now, I will always give Tesla a break on some of that. They built the market. So, I mean,
right.
It's kinda, they're Xiaomi and everybody else is riding on their backs a little bit, more than a little bit in that space. But that's amazing that a tech firm jumped into EVs and less than 2 years later, like, yep.
But Musk did it a different way. Okay. So a lot of what, Bill's thing, Bill's really big on saving the planet. And a lot of the look at EVs has been from the attitude of like, buy this and save the planet, right? Mm-hmm. Tesla never took that approach. Tesla's like, this is the highest tech vehicle you'll ever get in, and people to go and drive them, and it's just a completely different experience, right? And it's not the same as a regular car. And so there's things to it. They didn't go after it to say, hey, we're not doing this or that. It's all,
it's their model. Like, we're going to make a better product.
Right.
It's going to be more affordable at some point in time, and it's the product is better, not any other consideration by it.
Right. And so they won people over with the Model S and the X and the Model 3 by providing a superior automobile.
Well, I mean, do you remember years ago when they first came out with their big touchscreen in the vehicle, and no other vehicle had that at the
Right.
time. And now every car has that incorporated into it. But that was one of those leaders in that space of like, we're going to put a big iPad in here, and that's going to control everything. And now every vehicle is putting that in there.
It's funny. I ride in some Ubers occasionally, and besides having their phone with the little thing, they'll have some kind of mount that's coming out of one of the cup holders, and they'll have a big iPad or tablet there that they're using that also has the map on it and showing other things.
In there.
Yeah, and it's kind of comical. I've seen a lot of them do that though.
Well, that's the what? No, God, what's the Amazon one that's modular that they want to come out with? Or coming out next year?
Car or tablet?
Car. Where it's you can replace all the different pieces of equipment. Like you can make it an SUV, you can make it a two.
Are we talking about the Slate?
Slate, thank you. Yeah, that's their model. Bring your own iPad.
Right.
Otherwise, you've got dials, but just here's the mount for your phone. Here's the mount for your iPad. Just that's what's going to control it.
Man, I'm worried about Slate. I look at the price of used EV pickup trucks, and I don't, if you were trying to decide between a Slate or a used Ford F-150 Lightning, they're not going to be a whole lot different in price.
Ooh, yeah, it's going to be tough.
Yeah. We were talking yesterday. You can now get some used Chevy Silverados that are less than 2 years old for just over $50,000, the EVs, and those are $100,000 cars.
Nice car.
Trucks.
Yeah,
and man, that is really a lot of vehicle. And some of those, I was looking on Car Gurus, some of them only have like 5,000 miles on them, and they've got 100,000 mile warranty.
Yeah, the warranty transfers too.
Yeah, and that's not a whole. You could get a lot of driving out of one of those things with that 200 kilowatt hour battery, because you can tow with that thing. I mean, it's really.
God, at that level, like those cabs are so nice. I mean, that's a luxury cab in those too. I mean, that's a nice vehicle.
Yeah, just saying, it's really because of depreciation. Some of them have really dropped. All right. So Elon Musk's XAI is raising $15 billion at a $230 billion valuation. Now, when you look at Musk's companies, you mostly think of Tesla and SpaceX, right?
Yeah.
But he also owns Twitter, which is now just X.
Yeah.
And he's pulling XAI into that, I believe.
Because Twitter has its own Grok, I think it's called. I mean, they have their own
its AI called Grok. Yeah, and but he bought Twitter for $44 billion. Okay, so this now putting it at a $230 billion valuation. Other people talking about how Musk lost his shirt, but for him it was the price of free speech.
Okay? Yeah, it was never about making money. I mean, I'm sure there was. I'm sure there's always that, but yeah.
I don't know if he really anticipated making money like this on it though.
Yeah.
And this is just going to shoot up his personal net worth, probably another $100 million. Easy. Anyways, Tesla stock rising on the AI synergies in Musk's broader tech ecosystem. Highlights Musk's strategy to integrate AI across Tesla's autonomous driving ambitions. Now, at the same time, 41% of EV owners said they would avoid Tesla due to Musk's politics. It's kind of funny. These go together, right? It's like we got Musk doing this, Musk doing that. It's really funny how, it's like love him or hate him.
I think I can see that now that he's been out of the spotlight for coming up on a year. I mean, I think that's going to start to go away again.
And this isn't a U.S. survey. This is a global survey. Global said that 41% of current EV owners worldwide will not purchase Tesla due to Musk's political stances. This has come from the Malay Mail. This means that we're getting it from the Malaysian news source. Okay. Brand perception challenges could impact Tesla's growth despite product leadership. Growing competition gives EV buyers more alternatives without controversial leadership. Well, I think he's gradually may or may not keep his head out of politics. I mean, he's talked about creating another third party to challenge the others, which I found kind of fascinating. All right. Hyundai is developing an ultra-fast 400 kilowatt EV charging technology. Their research center is doing this to match gas refueling speeds. So they believe that with 400 kilowatt charging, it'll be just as quick as putting in gasoline.
God, that is so much power. Right. It's so much in that tiny space. And having been in this industry, and you think about your home and what your entire home takes 10 kilowatts of power, 10 to 15, depending on the AC is running. Size. And it's all of the safety standards. And when you start to get to those levels, I mean, all the work we have to do for arc flash and protection and just keeping people safe. There's a little alarm bell going off in the back of my head of, God, that's a lot of power, and that little connection right there.
You think about
you around it.
You go to the gas. If you went to a gas station, they had those signs about not using your cell phone.
Yeah, because
it could cause a spark. It's like, well, that wouldn't be good. It must have happened somewhere. I've never seen it happen, but it's happened somewhere. And
somebody tested it, and something came out. But it's yeah. I mean, it's cool to see, and the implication for like the power industry is huge. Where if you have that level of power, not just energy, and you can cycle those things on and off and put those things out, like your flexibility in utilizing electric vehicles as a grid asset goes way up. I mean, it's cool to see, but God, like that's half a grocery store's worth of power, and that one little tiny plug.
Yeah, just for 5 minutes of that kind of draw.
Right. And I look back to like utility work, and what if there was a lineman handling that much power, they have a mask, they have gloves, they are fully decked out for protection from any type of flash if that would happen. And now it's just a jerk like me walking up, with my cigarette in or something. I'm gonna plug, and God, I know it's designed and engineered and safety in mind and all of that, and that's a wonderful thing. But it's just that's so much for. Maybe it's because it's Hyundai. Hyundai takes 400 kilowatts now. Wow.
So for a while at 72nd and L, the bridge hasn't been usable. Well, a couple days ago, I noticed there was a sign that said no cell phone use. Discontinue cell phone use in this area. It's like, somebody going to use dynamite? Then I came through last night and the bridge was missing. It was gone. So they must have dynamited it.
Yeah.
Which that had to be pretty cool. That would have been loud. That's right there by that Menards.
Yeah.
But it's like, where did the bridge go? Yeah. It's gone. Yeah. I was kind of fascinated. At first, I was fascinated by the fact that it said no cell phone use. And I'm wondering how many people even paid attention to this. It's like, they don't want to be having dynamite blow up while you're going through. Yeah. But anyways, it's just crazy. All these technologies are coming up, and, to charge a car in just a couple of minutes. And people won't be able to make that complaint. It's like, oh, how long does it take you to fill up your car? Yeah. Let's see. All right. So Jigar Shah went on something. So if you don't know who Jigar Shah is, he used to be head of the Department of Energy Loan Program Office under Biden. And how batteries, not natural gas, can power the data center boom. And used EV batteries are already powering data centers near Reno. Batteries can help balance grid loads while data centers create demand for clean energy build out. I might have to go listen to this, but it was on something called Yale E360. But and it has the picture of the goofiness that we've shared before out in the middle of the desert. Little shrouds.
There it is. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a dude there for perspective. But yeah, all the batteries sitting on cinder blocks. Yeah, they're sitting on cinder blocks and they're covered in plastic wrap.
So that's pretty much like that's the old used car sitting on cinder blocks in the front yard. That was just the battery.
Just a battery. It is kind of funny. They probably pulled them up right there, stole the chassis, stole the wheels. Yeah, I thought that was kind of fascinating.
It's battery. I mean, batteries absolutely have to go out in that space. Using used EV batteries as a new resource instead of recycling components. What a fantastic use for all of that. The challenge with batteries always is, though, is getting technical into it. They're an energy resource. They're not an energy generating source. Like fuel has to come from somewhere. Like batteries do not charge themselves. So in the interim, with that model in mind, access to all of these used EV batteries, and hey, we can roll this stuff out very, very quickly. You still have to generate. You still have to generate the power from somewhere, which is where the backlog's at in the whole system. These places where you have to generate it very largely, the transmission system gets congested. It's difficult to model. You have to build new facilities. So it's still, it's relief, and it provides a little bit of temporary support, and it's going to be fantastic for the grid long term. But we still have to build new generation at some point.
Yeah, I mean, batteries don't solve all the problems, but they sure help.
They help. It's a great thing. It's a great thing, but we still have to build. You still have to put in solar, wind, gas, whatever that might be. Those things still have to go in. Methane.
Now you have to deal with FERC, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, FERC.
Yep, Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. Yep.
New interconnection rules changing how the renewable projects connect to the grid. Winter peak demand rising faster than resource additions can keep pace. Critical implications for renewable energy expansion and grid reliability. There was some news today in Utility Dive.
Yeah.
Didn't really get real specific on what those rules might be, but hopefully it's making it easier, right?
In the part of it in the area we're seeing, it's big news in the power market we're in, where they've created some new interconnection protocols where if you are a public power entity and part of this network, you go to the front of the line and you're allowed to add these facilities. So the state we're in is all public power, which is a great thing. And the reality in a lot of this is they want real projects to come in and be like, I need to build a new power plant. This is serious. Okay, like you can go to the front of the line for something like this. But the challenge we're seeing with the winter peaking area in the part of the country we're at, you have to have accredited, this is nationally true. You have to have accredited capacity, which means you have to have enough generation in the summer, in the winter, in the spring, in the fall to be able to meet your load. So I have 100 megawatts of load, I have to have 100 megawatts of generation in order to meet that. The big challenge where we're at is solar gets accredited for 0% in the winter. So you cannot use solar to meet your accredited capacity requirements in the winter in this part of the country. So as we're adding solar, it was great, wonderful. Our peak is always in the summer. This has been the big challenge, but now data centers run year round. So they keep a really, really high peak in the winter. We could cover that with solar in the summer, but now we can't cover it with solar in the winter. And it's a dynamic situation that's just a big challenge out there with everything.
Well, I mean, here we mostly use gas during the winter anyways.
Yeah.
I mean,
yep.
Not using a whole lot of electricity here.
And that's the way it's been. Our winter peak compared to summer peak, it's a fraction because of that. We're not now counting on space heating or cooling from the grid.
So another vehicle gets bidirectional charging, the Volvo EX90. The 2025 models of the EX90 Volvo can now use bidirectional charging, both V to G and V to H. They can power homes or feed electricity back to the grid. So that they built that in. So I guess Volvo is pro V to G, whereas Tesla kind of isn't. So it's it expands vehicle to grid ecosystem. It says beyond Tesla and Ford, but Tesla has it in the Cybertruck, but not really in the other models.
And the other ones, I mean, part of it is they also have a battery division, a home backup battery division. So that's into sales.
Right. So yeah, so that would cut into their sales in that space.
Yeah, they don't want to cannibalize their own product.
That's kind of an interesting perspective on that. Anyways, that's all we got for today. Folks, want to appreciate everybody that's stayed and watched till the end. And I'll be back on Friday with Bill, and Mike will be back with me next week. Maybe.
I will be here next week, right before the holiday. Yeah.
You will?
I will not be here.
Will not? Okay. Yeah, okay. That's Friendsgiving too, I think. So, I'm not saying I'm going to be drunk during the day, but I'm going
to be in Finland next Wednesday, so we will see. Yeah.
Oh, Finland.
Maybe it's going to be really dark and an excuse to get day drunk. So we'll see.
There you go. All right. Well, have fun out there. That sounds like a great time. Anyways, folks, thanks for watching, and we'll be back Friday.